when you allow yourself to envision the future of your wildest dreams and meet yourself fully where you are. There is something so powerful about being able to embody presence and vision at the same time. And this way of being ripples out into our communities with each other and the more than human world. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode where I share more about what this concept of beautiful leadership means and the different aspects of it and how it relates to all that we are. I hope that as you hear this, that you allow more of these qualities to wake up in you. One part that I didn't talk about is courage, which really underpins everything. Do you have the courage to face your fears and move forwards in your life, and to listen and take action with the insights that you receive around how we can co-create a more beautiful future? I can tell you that for me, this question has shown up in my life time and time again. I am naturally one of those people that is scared of things. As a child and young person, scared of heights, of jumping into water, of meeting snakes in the dark. Time and time again, I had to find the courage to face my fears, find the courage to challenge the status quo, and find the courage to walk my own path. I have learnt a number of things on this journey, and they come together here as beautiful leadership. This episode is just a small glimpse at some of them and why they are important, in the hope that as you hear these words, something opens and becomes possible in you. And as it becomes possible in you, it ripples out wider into our world and our global cultures. If you are listening and haven't yet joined our membership, please do. You are a part of this ecosystem and we need your presence and support. This episode is called Listening Deeply, the beauty and power of these times, where we explore the question, how do I live my life as a beautiful leader? Welcome to All That We Are, with me, your host, Amisha Gadiali. On this show, we explore the weave between activism, the sacred, creativity, and regeneration, the spaces where our inner and outer worlds dance. From healing trauma to nature connection, to new technologies, to ancient wisdom, it's time for us to move beyond silos and into an integrated way of being. Every one of us has ideas and personal experiences to share that can lead us to a more beautiful future. Despite the challenges we face as a global community, or the pressures we meet in our daily lives, when we stop and dare to listen, to ask ourselves the big questions, and to share what we are already doing and envisioning, we create the futures of our wildest dreams. And we begin to embody all that we are becoming, and all that is possible. As many of you will know, this podcast used to be called The Future is Beautiful, and that this value of creating beauty really underpins everything that we are exploring here. When I changed the name to All That We Are, it was wanting to really bring in the presence of all of the possibility and the opportunity and all of the shadow and the complication, to understand that those two things don't have to exist separately, that there is this opportunity for creating beauty in and amongst the complexity of the world that we find ourselves in and the world that we are co-creating. What becomes possible when you allow yourself to envision the future of your wildest dreams and meet yourself fully where you are? There is something so powerful about being able to embody presence and vision at the same time. And this way of being ripples into our communities with each other and the more than human world. When I was naming my mentoring and the kind of deeper explorations behind the work that I'm offering into the world, I decided to call it Beautiful Leadership. And I wanted to do that from an honoring of how important the way that we approach our lives and what it is that we can contribute in our inner worlds, and the way that we vision, the way that we see things, the way that we perceive our reality is, alongside that aspect of our own personal responsibility. And for me, that's why leadership becomes powerful. There's often that question, well, who is a leader? Am I a leader? I'm not running some big corporation, or I don't have some really big job in policy or in grand decision making. And for me, I feel like in this world that wants to entrain us all as followers, being a leader is so important to understand ourselves as leaders, to understand that we don't have to just go along with the way that things are, the way that things have been, the way that we see them as. The dominant culture that we are in, it entrains us all to be followers. And I really feel that this is a time when each of us is being called to step into beautiful leadership. And for me, this means being able to access the intelligence that we already have. We need to learn to listen more deeply to the intelligence that is all around us, the intelligence of our bodies, our intuitive wisdom, the wisdom of each other, and the whispers from the more than human world. We don't have all of the answers to all of the complex issues we face as a global community. And yet, if we're able to root deeper into the truth of who we are, really make space for our souls, connect deeper into nature and into practices that really support the embodiment of the truth of who we are, then I believe so much is possible. We just had this gathering of beautiful leadership at 42 acres on the incredible land there. And you heard in a recent episode the story and the love and the care that has gone into the creation of that space. And I was reminded how extraordinary it is when humans come together with that purpose of connecting more deeply to ourselves and listening more deeply to nature, and actually being in a shared space where we're in circle, where we're reflecting to each other and of each other, where we are allowing each other to shine, allowing what is in our souls to be more visible, what those gifts that we all hold as human beings are, to be present in the world. And I feel like sometimes that can seem like it has to be this really big thing, and it has to be some big project, something that's going to change the world, or find this solution. And I feel like we're stepping into a time of greater nuance with that. And that actually there's something around beautiful leadership that is being more present and understanding the part that each one of us can play. I was talking to a Guruji in India this morning, and we were talking about Dharma, and he was saying that, your Dharma, which is your life path, like it's not your job. It's not the thing that brings you money, your business. It's you being able to show up to what life brings you that day. It's you being able to show up to the responsibilities that you have in your family system, in your community, with the land that you are in relationship with. And then, of course, that stretches out to where your reach is possible. And so if you have a lot of resources, your reach is bigger. Your reach allows you to share resources with people on the other side of the world, or people that need those resources in order to either build their communities or their homes or bring their work into the world. And so understanding like what is our reach and how that shifts and that changes with our own capacity. As we were exploring at the retreat, the different facets of beautiful leadership taken from the course that I developed in 2020, I found that there were some interesting additions that had come through in my own understanding, and how having this as a framework, as a bit of a map, is actually really, really useful at this time. So I wanted to share with you the different aspects of beautiful leadership, in the hope that as you listen to this, that some of these will come alive within yourself. And so the first is really this honoring of beauty. It's that sacredness of our experience, the deeper love, the presence, the grace. It's being able to notice the small things, notice how life is moving through us and with us and around us at all times. And this is something that as you spend time in nature and you notice all the little changes that are always happening day to day, overnight, season to season, you begin to really deeply appreciate what it is to be alive. Having that relationship with yourself and the world around you, that you're present to what's possible, what's beautiful, what moves you, what connects you to that grace and gratitude and sense of possibility within yourself, that is all part of this reverence for beauty. The next aspect is about worth. Worth is such an interesting one, as we find ourselves in these times where worth gets manipulated. It's a common kind of thing in the sales of self-development, that like, do you have enough worth to invest in yourself for this? And there's that kind of worth that we see in traditional leadership, which is that power over. And so you gain worth from being at the top of a pyramid, and that everyone underneath you is answering to you or is at the mercy of what it is that you decide. And so having this different understanding with worth, the innateness of our worth, that in a capitalist society, worth isn't evenly distributed. But if we actually understand ourselves as spiritual beings or as an ecosystem, then there is inherent worth in every single one of us and what it is that we bring to the world. In order to be free to really show up with worth, there's all of this work around shadows, trauma, and liberation. And it's not about never suffering or never going through difficult things. Really, if we're able to be more present to the parts of ourselves that we've exiled, the parts of ourselves that we or others find more challenging, if we're able to understand more about our ancestral trauma or our cultural trauma, or what it is that might be missing, or why we might be motivated in a certain direction, then we're able to find more liberation. And through that liberation, we're able to see more clearly, and we're able to be present in a more clear way. And that with that, it's important to know that so much wisdom comes from our challenges, that often when we go through really difficult periods of life, if we're able to be in those difficult periods of life and really, show up with our understanding of, what can be changed and what cannot, and that it's a completely natural part of the human experience to sometimes struggle, to sometimes meet grief and anger and disappointment and despair, that it is a completely normal part of life to suffer, that sometimes from that suffering, our perspective really shifts, our resilience grows, we understand more about ourselves. It can open us up to being more compassionate. It can open us up to noticing things that we didn't notice before, maybe bringing in a more inclusive understanding of what is the experience of another person, a person that has a different kind of identity, or a person that may be dealing with some kind of health, physical health, spiritual health, mental health crisis. Suffering can often widen what it is that we understand in the world, widen that lens through which we perceive reality. And in order to be more present as a beautiful leadership, the embodiment aspect is so important, being able to really open to the wisdom that exists in all of our body, live in a way where we're not just coming from the mind, or we're not just coming from our thoughts, but actually we have accessed the wisdom that is there in our little toes, or that we're able to feel the balance and the imbalances within ourselves, that we're able to move the energy in our bodies and gain greater strength and power, that we have a really healthy relationship with rest, with sleep, with recharging, and not just recharging to perform, but that rest that invites us to take more space for beauty, to actually connect to much deeper inspiration. There's the aspects of our physical experience that we can change through biohacking, through exploring new technologies or ancient wisdom that can really root us into greater health or greater embodiment of our human potential. And then there's the compost heap that we've been talking about in recent episodes. That space where sometimes we just have to let things dissolve, let things change shape, change form, and really allow that kind of rebirth into something else. And sometimes the story isn't that then this happened and then everything was amazing for the rest of time. Sometimes the story is like, yeah, I lost a part of myself and I gained something different, and it wasn't necessarily bigger or better or brighter. It just was. And with that is our connection to nature, and how powerful it is to be in direct relationship with nature in whatever way that is. It might just be looking up at the sky and noticing the presence of something much greater, much more powerful than us. And it might be relationships with trees, or getting your hands in the soil and really learning how to grow, how to bring life, how to caretake for plants, for flowers, for herbs, for vegetables in our own gardens. And with that, there's the deep listening that we develop. And that deep listening is to the more than human world. It's the deep listening that allows us to connect with fellow humans at a different layer than the surface. It's that deep listening that allows us to hear ourselves, to hear our own wisdom. It's the deep listening that makes space for the presence of the more than human world. It's that deep listening that allows us to edgewalk, to be between worlds and realities, to be bringing information into this reality, perhaps from somewhere else. It's the deep listening that connects us to our vision, that allows us to see what could be possible, to dream what could be possible, and that allows us to connect to our intuition, to really understand the wisdom and the guidance that is flowing through us. And as we connect deeper to that wisdom, it allows us to rehumanize those that have been outcast. It allows us to rehumanize and call back in parts of ourselves. It allows us to really live in reciprocity and deep respect of the earth, of other species, of our more than human kin. It opens up the path for sacred activism, for being able to listen and take action from this place that is deeply rooted, that is of the heart, that is action that understands the systems of oppression that we live amongst, whether it is colonization, racism, patriarchy, capitalism, and how these systems of oppression have influenced us, so that we can actually decondition from that and come up with ways to live in this world that empowers, that uplifts, that makes more and more possible, that opens up space for more creativity, that creativity that runs through us when we make ourselves a clear vessel. A clear vessel meaning not of our skills and of all of the things that we have learned, but that there's an openness through us, and that we use these practices and tools that of which we have access to so many, to release a lot of the heaviness, a lot of the old patterning, the thoughts that keep us really stuck, so that our creativity can really thrive, and that we can tap in then to these experiences of flow, into a consciousness where so many changes are possible, even within the density of these complex times. And that then we can actually step out as cultural futurists, there with ideas, with ways of being that create a more beautiful future. And of course, it all comes together through community and collaboration. As we know, as we discuss so often on this podcast, are not perfect. It's really not easy to be in community when we don't have that deep sense of belonging, when we don't have that equality, when we're all coming from such different perspectives. Yet, this is some of the work of this time, to be able to collaborate more, to find that common unity more, to know that we can't do everything by ourselves all the time. And this is why circles are so powerful. And I was reminded of that so much through this retreat. We stayed in circle the whole time for all of the meditative, the embodiment, the discussions, the check-ins. All of it happened in the circle. In the circle, there's space for everyone. There's space for all of the wisdom. And that in these circles, we can really practice deep listening. And I feel like that's something that came through for me on this retreat, and a remembrance of why we gather in these ways is that in these little microcosms that we create, we're able to really deepen our skills in presence, in deep listening, in honoring each other's gifts and being cheerleaders for those that we meet, in holding conflict in a different way, in the amplification of the practices for when we gather and we do them together, how that then enables us when we go back into our lives to come from a place that is so much more grounded and rooted and not reactive. And so that then as the challenges of each day arise, or the responsibilities of each day arise, that we're able to approach it with a little bit more spaciousness. And then we don't know what the effects are of that. When we talk about the butterfly effect, the small thing, and then how that ripples out through the world. The power of our stories, of hearing each other, of connecting to each other, of relating to each other, and the power of coming together in ceremony and ritual. And so this is what beautiful leadership is. It's really making space for a deeper relationship with yourself, with your soul, with the wisdom that lives in you. And it's learning to relate to others more clearly, more openly, and with deeper love, with deeper respect and recognition. And it's connecting to the more than human world, to this planet that we're part of, having a relationship with the elements. On this particular retreat, it was raining so heavily and it was so windy the first days. We still went out in the rain. We still danced in the rain and got our feet in the wet grass. And then the sun came out kind of unscheduled, but just at the perfect moment. And that deep appreciation for that light and for the warmth of the sun. Beautiful leadership has such a direct relationship with the elements inside of ourselves and the elements in our world. And if any of this is sounding interesting to you, is sounding like something that you want to dive deeper into explorations of, I want to invite you to come to the next retreat or workshop in person that I host on beautiful leadership. There aren't any in the diary right now, but I'm definitely open to holding much more of this space this year in different places. You can join the beautiful leadership immersion and mentoring. And so the mentoring work that I offer is deep inner work held with rituals and energy work that allows us to see into what can be let go of, like what is holding you back? Where could there be a shift that allows you to step more fully into being, into more aliveness? Where we plant seeds, and the seeds are qualities within you that are dormant, that haven't really been activated through your life, that for whatever reason, the life that you've lived, especially in your childhood, just didn't allow you to fully root into these qualities in yourself. And it's incredible because as human beings, there is so much available to us. There are so many qualities, from the very simple ones like confidence in who we are and what we have to offer the world, or deepest self-worth, to qualities that tap deeper into our ability to relate to the modern human world. Often I find that these seeds that come through the one-to-one work that I do, there's a lot often around permission. And I feel like that's part of breaking our cycles of conditioning and culture, where we might feel held back from something that really is wanting to come through. Could be something like, permission to take up the space that I need to thrive, or permission to take the next steps forward towards my vision. And so often with the mentoring, I work with someone just as they're in a transition, just as you're about to do something else, or you're reconfiguring something, or you want to just go a bit deeper into yourself, want this time to expand and to grow and to deepen. And the practice of planting the seeds and then watering them, nourishing them every day, it actually makes you very proficient in the way that you work with energy, in the way that you relate to your own subconscious, and in the way that you can navigate your own power. And so this is available as the one-to-one work, the beautiful leadership mentoring, of which the next round will begin in May. I like to work with cohorts, even though it's one-to-one work, because I just find that brings this power of a group container into the one-to-one work as well. And there's a space for group connection through the beautiful leadership immersion. And you can also just book a one-to-one session if there's something that you want to work through. And sometimes people come with physical things as well as emotional, spiritual things that want to be worked through or shifted. Yeah, it's just always very sweet and sacred, those spaces. And so as well as the immersion, the mentoring, and the one-to-one work, this summer I want to hold a short course on holding space, on deep listening, on how to host circles in a way where you really allow for the other people in that space to feel safe and held, and therefore can share more freely, can open more freely. I'll share a bit around how I do it on the podcast, how I do it on retreats, and some of the skills that you can cultivate in order to be a powerful space holder. And so you can find the information of that, which will be coming later this summer, and register your interest. One of the things that I truly love about all that we are, this space and all of these offerings, is that it connects me deeper to you, and I get to meet you and spend time with you. There's something about making a podcast that's quite solitary. It's very intimate, me and often a guest. And then, of course, Annegret and Mary are working on the episodes. And then there's all of you, and you're listening in all these different places in the world, in all of these different day-to-day activities. we have developed a relationship here over the 5 years. And yet so many of you, I don't know your names. I don't know who you are. And I don't know what you're taking from all of this and how this is moving through your worlds. And so I love that in all of the spaces of the courses and the offerings, that we get to connect really directly. And also in our membership, which is now beginning to really thrive again. And this season, I would love for us to welcome in many more members so that we can come to this place of really being sustained and really thriving through the connections between all of us. What is incredible is that everyone that listens to this podcast is a beautiful leader. Everyone that listens to this podcast is considering the life that they live and the impact that it has really deeply, that is not afraid of the more challenging aspects of human life at this time. The connections that get made through the membership, through our coming together, they are so powerful and so beautiful to witness. And so if you're not yet a member of All That We Are, if you haven't joined the membership, which is there on a sliding scale, and so you can join from £7 up to £45, please do. Please come and join these spaces, these soul space sessions that are just really gorgeous. We go actually into the energy work. It's a really affordable way of getting to experience this work and connecting into a group field as we transform together, and that we plant seeds, in our inner gardens, and how, as we're doing this together in the membership, that we are together transforming, and that's then having this bigger impact in the world, in all of our lives and communities. And then we've got the Going Deeper sessions launching soon, where we'll get to have more circles to discuss together some of the deeper aspects of our human experience at this time. And so please do join the membership. I know it's easy to not get round to it when you've been intending to join, or to imagine that there's enough others doing it and so you don't have to. But it really is an ecosystem here that we're creating at All That We Are. In order for that ecosystem to be healthy, we do require the participation of as many of you as possible. And the more of you that participate, the richer that soil is. As we are learning, soil health is everything. One of the things that I absolutely love to do is share your voices. As I said, there are so many incredible people that are part of the wider ecosystem, the membership of All That We Are. And every now and then, I do these episodes and I invite some of you to share some of your recent experiences, share what beautiful leadership means to you, share the work that it is that you are doing in this world. Thank you for tuning in. If you are enjoying this episode, do join our membership. For a small contribution, you can be part of our community, where we deepen the conversation and offer spaces of learning and embodiment. As a member, you are a patron supporting the making of this show, keeping the episodes full length, free and accessible for all. And you receive a number of benefits, such as monthly soul space, Going Deeper sessions, access to our library of workshops, and discounts on all our online and in-person experiences. Our membership is what makes us able to make this show and stay advertising free in a world that is always trying to sell us stuff we don't need. Head to allthatweare.org/membership to find out more and join today.
Hello, I'm Amelia Jane. I'm a mother and a creative events producer. What does beautiful leadership mean to me? It means following my heart song. It means being soul-centered. It means being joyful and playful and light. These are qualities that are all authentic, feel authentic to me, and that I want more of in my life, because when I embody those qualities, then I feel like I can be the person that I'm meant to be. I feel like I can tap into my light, and I can feel like an empowered mother and a visionary and a worker and whoever I am being in the world. I feel like I can do it better and with love and with light and with strength and with connection to the earth. I love the earth. I love the earth, and I love people. I deeply care for the earth, and I want it to thrive. I want it to heal because I love the earth, and I want that for myself, and I want that for my children so badly. I've found it hard to be able to know what to do in order to leave a healthy legacy because I felt tired, I felt depleted. I've been so busy with life with a, very young family. The Beautiful Leadership retreat was so deeply nourishing for me. I rested, I rejuvenated, I felt so held by Amisha, who brought her wisdom and the wisdom of her ancestors and the land at 42 acres, which is magical and is constantly being fed by all of these wonderful people. And then the retreat itself, all these gorgeous souls were magnetized to it, and they inspired and held me within the space. So there was this amazing concoction of elements that made for such a conducive environment to really help my soul thrive and help me to step back into life feeling like, I've got this, I can do this, and I can lead the life that I really want to lead for myself and for my children. What's really present for me is the beautiful experiences that I've had with my children since the retreat. I've felt so present. I felt so connected to nature and to my children. We've been sliding on mud flats. We've been making boats and sending them down the river. I've been helping them to connect with nature and respect it. And it's been wonderful. And that's the quality of joy and playfulness and deep connection and respect that I want to take with me and imbibe into all of the work that I do. I feel like I can do it now. And I was doing it in life, but life is busy and you don't sleep much when you have really young children. So, it just really helped me to clear out what I didn't need to be holding on to, tap into what I do want, and feel confident and feel empowered to step forth into life and lead a beautiful life, which is one of respect and connection and vision and inspiration. And for me, deep connection with the earth and with spirit. And I want that for myself, and I want that for the earth, and I want that for my children. So massive gratitude, and may this feeling long live on. And I didn't expect this to be so gushing, but so it should be. It's a wonderful thing that Amisha's brought into the world, and it's so needed right now. And I am so grateful. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sally, and I'm a medical doctor who specialises in lifestyle medicine and nutrition, and has a real keen interest around our connection to the land and how we can heal the land. Beautiful leadership for me is as much about an internal journey as it is an external journey. That journey of finding our authentic expressions of ourselves, our authentic voices, working out what that is, and unlearning a lot of the things that have shaped or tried to squash or oppress our authentic expression of ourselves. And then it's that journey of living out that true expression of who we believe we are and the contribution that we believe that we bring to the world. And living from that place of authenticity and wholeheartedness. And beautiful leadership for me is about believing and releasing other people to do that in all their different spheres of life, trusting that as we do that and champion and cheer each other on, we collaborate and make a beautiful tapestry in life that creates a more beautiful world. I feel inspired personally around beautiful leadership, around healing and the connection between healing the land and healing our communities and healing our bodies and minds, and how important that is and how it's one story. And my desire as a medical doctor is to bring the human health part of that story into those areas where people are talking about soil health and community health and growing food, and so that we could have one discussion around healing and the importance of telling one story of how these things are connected so that we can heal as humanity and heal the planet. I have recently returned from a beautiful leadership retreat with Amisha and some other wonderful participants. And my reflections of that is how there are other beautiful, wonderful human beings searching out solutions to some of the problems that we're facing as humanity and on the planet. The incredible beauty and insight. So my heart felt healed by being around people and listening to their stories and their hopes and their dreams. I felt deeply healed by the beauty of the location we were in, the connection to the land, the wonderful food, the attention to, the cottages and rooms where we were staying. It just felt there was so much attention to detail, and it just felt so beautiful and healing. For me, my deepest reflection is about trusting myself, trusting my voice, trusting my intuition, and not trying to work it all out and have a plan, but to live in the discomfort of the mystery, knowing that the universe or God or however we want to frame that greater consciousness will work through us. And I just need to keep my heart open and soft and trust that I will do my bit well and cheer each other on in the bits that they're doing too. So a deeply healing and moving time, and internally I just feel so much more spacious and relaxed and at ease and deeply grateful for the time that we've had together. So thank you to Amisha and to the inspiration of those that we met and the time that we've had. It has been sacred and a beautiful space to be in, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
Hi, this is Marion Boswell. I'm a landscape architect. Beautiful leadership, to me, means working with a purpose, really understanding what it is that one is trying to achieve in life, or be without achieving, and then bringing other people along with you. In order to make it beautiful, it needs to be centered on, first of all, that purpose, but secondly, to be centered on doing it kindly and doing it with an intention to do some sort of good. It doesn't have to be particularly worthy, but I think for it to be beautiful, it does need to be beautiful in intention. I loved doing the Beautiful Leadership workshop because it really made me feel the sense of vulnerability that leaders have, that we have that sort of Superman or woman moment of you've got me, who's got you, that we all need to help one another. And that brilliant sense of community, which I think can be generated when you get people into a room together that all have a common vision. So thank you for hosting such a fantastic podcast, and thank you for asking us all to contribute.
Hi, my name is Ladinia. My profession Undecided is the word that comes to mind. Up until the end of last year, I was working in technology. I was a service architect, and before that, I spent several years engaging stakeholders, building relationships, and providing users and customers with support as an application support analyst. I haven't worked in almost a year. So, what have I been doing? Healing, resting, reading, crying, struggling, trying, and having new experiences. And all of this led me to a beautiful leadership workshop with Amisha. We live in complex times. That's something we discussed. And it goes without saying that it is becoming ever more difficult to bring our authentic selves, everywhere we go in this world because it's scary. There's judgment. We might feel like we don't fit in, and it is just scary. But I think for me, being a beautiful leader is remembering, knowing, believing, and remembering that in this world, we are all same, different. So it means that when we have those moments where we feel, like we have imposter syndrome, we feel like we're a fraud, we feel like we don't fit in, we have, or whatever else, fear is crippling inside of us. We're not alone. We're not the only people who feel that way. And to make it safer, I suppose, for other people to kind of like, feel better and, just being able to be vulnerable and to be honest and to be authentic. It's having the courage. That's what it is. It's having the courage to be authentic. It's having the courage to be able to share with people, even especially when it's difficult, that sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I struggle, sometimes I feel alone. Sometimes I don't fit in. Because when you start sharing your story, I promise you that there will be people who smile and nod along and understand and will be grateful to you for being vulnerable, grateful to you for your authenticity, because that will then give them the strength, to do the same and to pay it forward. And that's important because, so many, so often these days, we get so caught up in ourselves, and the fear, and then that pressure builds up inside of us and it stresses us out, and it leads to burnout, and it's happening more and more frequently. And I truly believe that it's happening because, we're scared to speak, we don't have an outlet. So yeah, just for me, it's just every day, just try and find the strength to bring all of you to the table and to share your stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly with others, where you feel safe and where you're drawn to it, to give others the strength to do the same thing. I don't always feel like a beautiful leader, but for me, I've always been drawn to people who, seem maybe a little bit in their shells, or, they're not sure where they fit in, or so for me, those are the people that I want to go to and, and share my story, kind of, as I was saying earlier. So yeah, it's other people and other people's, vulnerabilities that, inspire me to be a beautiful leader. And also a lot of the hardships that I've been through, especially in the last couple of years, feeling like the world is against me, all of that. And then realizing again that I'm not alone. All of those things have inspired me to just, get up every day and try and put one foot in front of the other and lead, and be an example, be a positive example of what's possible. And some reflections of just what taking part in the beautiful leadership retreat has opened up for me. Space. It's opened up space for me. I would say that fear, fear was definitely my kryptonite. It's been crippling me, if I'm being honest, since I was really young. And I'd almost become, resigned to the fact that, hey, that's just me. Those are the cards that I was, dealt. And I just have to learn to live my life with this fear. And finally, I never thought it would happen. I'm so grateful. I can honestly say that for the first time, I have been able to release the fear. And I'm not saying that, I'll never be scared again or that it won't come back, but the retreat and all the experiences and the love has really showed me that when you can be courageous and, shed the fear, that it opens up that space for love and, possibilities, opportunities. I mean, it was beautiful. It really was. Getting in touch with nature, learning that there are things like wild swimming that I never thought I would do in a million years, and actually, I love it. And when you do something like that, when you face your fears and, what's the worst thing that's gonna happen? It's probably not going to kill you, and you might not like it, and that's okay, but you learn, you take something away from every experience that you have. But best case scenario, you might just find something that gives you a little bit of strength and helps you carry on. So if you ever get the opportunity to do something that's difficult, to do something that takes you out of your comfort zone, I would just ask that you really make an effort, to do that and show others that it's okay. It's all about paying forward the strength and the courage. So just thank you to Amisha and just sending so much love and hope into this world.
Hi, I'm Sophie B, a yoga teacher and children's yoga teacher trainer based in Somerset, where I hold workshops and circles all around the themes of well-being and connecting to ourselves, each other, and the world we live in. Beautiful leadership to me is about embodying the practices that I teach. Despite the challenges of modern life, I do strive to carve out time for introspection and do my inner work, whether that be through daily meditation, yoga, or self-care rituals. Even on a particularly full day, that might just be mindfully drinking a herbal tea with full presence and remembering to breathe deeply. I feel it's important to share the inner work we do with like-minded souls in community, which, in balance, avoids isolation. It's very powerful to be in circles and ceremonies, to be vulnerable, to be witnessed, and practice the art of mindful listening to one another. To be a beautiful leader, for me, it's important to stay committed to the journey of being a lifelong student, always with a growth mindset or beginner's mind. And so empowering to learn by reading books and listening to inspiring podcasts. A strong connection to nature is also an important part of beautiful leadership to me. I recently read a beautiful quote in a book called Letters to the Earth. When we heal the earth, in turn, we heal ourselves. And it struck me that this doesn't have to be a huge gesture. A small gesture can ripple out and have far-reaching effects. For example, the simple act of planting a tiny tree seed. That seed has the infinite capacity to grow, creating new life as an entire ecosystem for many creatures, the mycelium network, and providing shelter for other plants. And I can support that process by giving the seed a safe place in the earth and the water and access to sunlight that it needs to germinate. I recently attended Amisha's beautiful leadership retreat at 42 Acres in Somerset. During one of the workshops, I felt a significant shift in my ability to cope with the complex times that we live in. As a mother with young children, I try to protect them and show them that the world is a safe and beautiful place to be. For years, I found hearing the news too negative and toxic to cope with. I felt disempowered and fearful, as it felt like there was nothing I could do about it. So, to cope, I just stopped listening to it, instead choosing to tend to my children's needs and creating a safe bubble all around them. But I just felt torn, as I still wish to be an activist and to remain aware of what is going on in the world we live in, as I believe ignorance does cause significant suffering to others. Plus, if everyone chose to be apathetic, those who are in power would be able to do whatever they wanted without anybody questioning it. So in knowing what is going on, I'm able to be more active in influencing the world and how it's changing, or protesting against what others are doing. So I found living in the Complex Times workshop really helped me to have a renewed sense of feeling comfortable and accepting that this is the reality of the world we currently live in. With Amisha, we learned a wonderful technique called the compost heap to help us stay grounded and in the moment. So rather than running away or feeling hurt by difficult news or conversations, instead, I learnt to welcome this conflict. Staying grounded and feeling the earth beneath my feet and the infinite cosmos above my head, a protective wall of wise ancestors behind me, and all the future generations in front of me, I was able to absorb the conversation into my core and then be able to send it down to the earth, our beautiful Mother Earth, who is able to recycle energy in the great compost heap.
My name is Lavinia Grace. I am a psychospiritual psychotherapist, a nature therapist and heart meditation facilitator, and I'm based in Suffolk in the UK. The Beautiful Leadership Mentoring Programme was a deeply soulful, timely and inspirational, a felt experience for me, and timely in that I had gone through a period of burnout in my work during lockdown and was beginning to resurface again. And I found Amisha's mentoring programme, and she helped me out of what was a really difficult space for me at that time. And upon reading some of my story in an email I sent to Amisha, her first words in response to me were, "Dearest Lavinia, how courageous you are, and what a lot this must have been to go through." And that was, for me, an example of what beautiful leadership is. It's leading from a place of compassion, a place of kindness in a soulful way. Beautiful leadership for me is about being a leader in my own life, trusting my intuition and reclaiming it back from a conditioned past, an internalized oppression, to live and work authentically with an inner knowing for personal and for collective healing, finding my own soul path and living from a place of truth for me, living with intentionality and recognizing that how I live my life, the way I choose to work and the seeds that I plant today also, co-create the future too. And instead of following what my idea of a textbook example of a therapist is supposed to be, I wanted to create a way of working, a collaboration with my clients from a place of mutuality, rather than wearing some expert's cloak whereby I had the answers. It's like coming to see a therapist and expecting them to somehow have the answers, or the therapist coming from that place where they feel they have the answers. And, when has that ever worked for anybody? I was inspired by Amisha's way of working and her ability to see the heart of me and my work, which encouraged me to bring my visions into the world and to do this in a clear, conscious way, where today I lead with creativity, intuitively, and from the heart. In my private practice, I offer space for people to work with me in nature, to reconnect with themselves and the more than human world, a place of reconnection in a world where many of us can feel disconnected at times, and a space where heart meditations, nature walks, depth relational therapy, creative writing therapy can all coexist. In sessions, one day I could be doing a sand tray with a client or a nature walk or a nature mandala of fragmented parts of themselves, creatively inspiring clients to see the areas they wish to work on in a connected way. And I was undertaking nature therapy with clients since 2005, before nature therapy was even a thing. It just was not recognized back then. And that was when I listened intuitively to myself, and somehow I had stopped listening. And today I feel empowered in my perspective, and I'm grounded in the strength of who I am and what I have to offer to the world. Today, I'm, really proud to say that, just moving away from burnout and extraction culture and away from patriarchy to a place of feminine agency and a place of joy in the work I bring to people. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing place to work from, an empowered place to work from. And you can only take people as far as you have come on this path spiritually. And Amisha has really done her own work too, and shares that so generously with others. Mentoring opened up a place where I could start clearing the blocks that kept me trapped in restrictive patterns or keeping me small in the world. I recognized my ability to really hold my center in a storm, and today hold an authentic openness in the way I share myself and my work. I honed in on what it is I wanted to offer in my work, and that is to hold space for people to really get to know themselves and to know themselves in relationship to others too, to the earth and the greater mystery of life. Amisha's beautiful leadership mentoring was life-enhancing for me. The gift of trusting my intuition again and giving myself permission to do just that is a journey I highly recommend to anyone who feels called to do this work.
I wanted to share with you these voices as there's something so important and potent. When we gather together and we sing and we dance and we're by a fire, it's such an innate part of human life and community life to come together in that way. And this is a song that one of the participants shared at the Weave at our last gathering that we held at Embocombe in Devon. And then we shared it with this group in Somerset, 42 Acres. It's very unrehearsed and just us singing around the fire, but you capture the energy of possibility, of joy, and of being in it together.
People rise up, sing enough is enough. People rise up, sing enough is enough. We can create a more beautiful world. We are love, we are freedom, we are light. We are love, we are freedom, we are light. People rise up, sing enough is enough. People rise up, sing enough is enough. We can create a more beautiful world. We are love, we are freedom, we are light. We are love, we are freedom, we are light. People rise up, sing enough is enough. People rise up, sing enough is enough. We can create a more beautiful world. We are love, we are freedom, we are light. We are love, we are freedom, we are light. We are love, we are freedom, we are light.
Thank you for listening. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode and it has sparked some inspiration and creativity in you. As always, you can find links to everything we mention in this episode, download our book, and discover so much more over on allthatweare.org. We give space to our guests to share their perspective without debating it or fact-checking, as this approach allows for deep, unedited conversations from the heart. We trust your discernment and wisdom to take what is useful and challenge what isn't in your own understanding. We offer spaces for discussion and integration in our membership community, which we would love for you to join. We don't believe in selling you things you don't need through this podcast, and so it's made possible by you, our beautiful community. If you loved this and would like to connect more deeply with us, please join our membership. You choose what you contribute based on our sliding scale, and you become a patron whose support makes this podcast happen, as well as receiving access to a library of many resources and invitations to nourishing events. Please also hit subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen so others can find us. This podcast is made by an all-female global team. Me, Amisha Gadiali, producer and host, Anna Greta Folderbach, who crafts the words that accompany each episode, and Mary Chan, who edits the sound so skillfully. All That We Are celebrates all that we are already and the untapped potential that lives inside us. It invites the full power of the more than human world, nature, the unseen, our ancestors and our future generations. It reminds us that we never exist in silo, through borders, timelines, or polarity, that in each and every moment, all that we are is here.